Okay, here's a song. We get started on this song. We do the first couple cuts of it. Where do you take it from there?
Well, why don't we illustrate it with New York Minute, Steve?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because our album we did in the studio, and our album was done even if, I don't think we did much remote really there, because I would do vocals here, but then I'd go down to Steve's house and we'd either use what I did there or redo it, or I'd play a solo here maybe and send it down there. But a lot of times you know, that was back and forth in the human world. But now, Steve, tell them. So we started New
so
York.
yeah, we actually uh, so again, there's two processes, and the one is which we're going to thank God go do again, and we can talk about that after, which is how we actually work when there's not a restriction with COVID. We can talk about that afterwards. What we've done a few times since, uh, actually, New York Minute was interesting. So since I sing it, I we decided on a click based on we listened to some live performances, and Waddy and I said, that's a good tempo. I sang and played my part, which is really a rhythm part, and then Waddy went next. Waddy has the best, if I may say so, time in the band. He's got just an unbelievable sense of where things should be and where they should feel. So it actually goes to Waddy. No, there's some bands that might go to the drummer next. It went to Waddy next. Then Russ played to Waddy.
Yeah.
Then Leland played. Then we keep sending it to him. Then Danny played. Then it went back to me, and I redid my stuff. So now I'm singing and playing to what I would normally doing on stage. I'm listening to them lay it down. So my thing was just a guide, so that the form was there. But when I really wanted to express it and do it right, I'm playing to everybody else. So it went in sort of this order of who's got who can really lay down the feel and the groove, and so it's not a lot different than when we're all playing. I gotta say, in my opinion. I mean, you can tell me what you think why, but we've done this so much. We've all been in the studio. It's a comfortable place, so I don't feel we lost a lot in translation. But that's how we did it, and then we tweak and overdubs. And again, Waddy and I kind of figured out a pretty cool way to hear out of our speakers, and Waddy sends the records, and I guess you're using still Performer, right?
Yeah, I use Performer. He's in Pro Tools.
And so he'll record a guitar part, send it, I put it in, we talk about it, we tweak it, and then the most, that's the simple part. The complicated or the more intense part is when the two of us mix the stuff, because we're both, very exacting, and
You got to really fine tune when you're
really fine tune. And well, you talking about, it's an interesting experience. We just mixed this EP, and we really got in. Now that we got this audio movers, and when I hit play on it's Waddy's really hearing it. We got really under the hood. I mean, we're talking, can move that a half dB, add a tiny bit of 3K. I mean, really. So tell them about the mastering thing, because I think that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, this is great. Records, you used to make a record, you'd go in the studio, you'd work your ass off, you get that record made, then you'd take it to the mastering place because it had to be put to vinyl. And so then they would master it. They would take away too much bottom end. They would add enough top end or compress it or limit it to get it to where it'll adhere to the vinyl better. But that process is really a thing of the past now. Now you record digitally. So when we finish a mix, it sounds like the mix, and we sent it to a mastering guy, and he did what he does, and we got it back. And I said, I want it to sound like what we did. So I called our engineer, our dear brother Nico Bolas, who is a great producer, and I said, "So what's the deal with mastering nowadays? I mean, is that a necessary step?" He goes, "No." He says, "Mastering these days, what you want to get him to do, like for what he did on our record, is you get everything, you make everything at the same level. You get everything so that vocal level, song to song, is the same. And they put in the codes that are needed to cut the CDs. But that's all. You don't have guys fucking around with your mix anymore, you know, and which made us happier than anything, you know. And so we asked this guy who's a great mastering engineer, please just do it the way it is. Just put the codes in, level it out. We got it back. And I mean, when we got the first pressing from him, not pressing, whatever, you know, the first version, in 2 beats, I'm going, I don't like it.
Right.
Doesn't sound like our shit. Doesn't sound like it.
Right.
I want it to sound like exactly what we gave him. So what we got back is exactly what we had, but everything etched level wise same.
And a little louder. You brought the volume up so that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It has to come up.
But yeah, it's a very.
That's all they do now. That's all you do now.
That's all, because we're doing what you couldn't do that in the old days. First of all, when we started making records, there wasn't even automation. So there was going to be a lot of, I remember, I'm sure, mixing with 5 guys at the board so there was going to be a real song to song, so that you go in the mastering guy and you fix a lot of stuff.
Right. And also, it's down to, Steve and I, we're going, that's it. That's the mix. Whereas, you mix something for somebody else and I go, that's the mix. And they go, no, it isn't. So then you got to take, you're mastering. Can you save this thing? Because this guy don't like it, but you know what I mean? So because it's our own project and our own product, we have final say. If you're mixing for somebody else,
right,
you might have to say, hey man, I can't get it any better than that. Let the mastering guy change it,
Hang on just a minute.
Or, hey man, I'm trying.
What the fuck?
What the fuck kind of interview?
I'm on Skype.
Women.
No wonder his vocal
Okay,
sounds so
thanks,
shit.
Mom. It's my mom. Can't deny your
Oh,
mom.
we love Mom.
Mom. She's bringing me strawberry shortcake.
Oh God, that's good.
And
Hi, Mom. I'd love a piece too.
Yeah, I'll be cutting that part out of the interview. I thought my grandson's usually the one that comes. They live right across the street, so usually,
Your mom can interrupt us anytime she wants.
yeah, no doubt about it.
Especially with cake. Yeah.
Yeah, especially.
So the other question, the other thing is when we're not dealing with COVID, we also have I think have developed a very efficient way to work. So we do the writing period, which we were talking about before, which is a lot of back and forth. And again, we have Waddy and Danny, who are 2 of the best song writers alive, to get that song so it's in the best shape. But then we go into the studio, really work on, not that it can't change, but what's the tempo, get a guide vocal, get a main guitar part, usually maybe 2, but usually just 1. Then now nobody has to concentrate on that. You're not wasting energy. So psychic energy in the studio can go like that. You're not wasting energy. We've been going into Jackson's studio. We've all of us individually have worked there many, many times. It's a really comfortable place. He's a friend of all of ours, so it feels good. And we go in the same room. That's another thing that's really cool. All of us in the same room with bleed going into everybody's mic a little bit. And then,
making records the way records get made, with a band live in their faces. We came up in a studio called the Sound Factory.
Right.
It's a very small room, and we were using Music Man HD amps. Andrew Goldeneye, our amps would be right next to each other, right in front of the drum riser. There'd be a gobo there, a block, sound wall. Just think, you know what I'm talking about, a gobo, you know what that is. So there'd be a gobo behind the 2 little guitar amps, Drums are right there. Piano is right behind me. The guitar amps are actually facing the piano, sitting over there. And the bass cabinet, the bass is always in another room because the bass taking up a lot of noise. So, or the bass was just DI. And that was the band was in that small room. And that's where all the Ronstadt records, James's records, the Warren Zevon records, a great deal of the records we made were in that place or in a physical space like that, small rooms.
Right.
You got to A&M or Capitol, you walk into Studio A in either of those places, and there are these magnificent rooms. They're beautiful, big rooms.
But the thing of being together in the room. So we do that together in the room. Yeah, but the first record I ever made was in a studio called Media Sound on West 57th Street, New York, which had been a church. And Studio A was truly a cathedral.
Right.
And there were mics 40 feet up. So they put the drummer right under the top of the cathedral in the middle, and then we'd all get around him with some gobos, and we'd all be looking at the drummer and this amazing sound. And so we do that, and that's how we capture. That's the feel. When the band, then we take it to our studios, and we can do whatever we want. We can add solos. We sing, of course, do the vocals and any other parts, but the foundation is so strong, and that we're already like 80% there at that point.
Yeah.
And do you think that your longevity together is kind of the secret sauce as to how you're able to capture a live band sound? Because one of the things I really noticed about the Can't Stop Progress song and video is that it sounds to me like a live band playing live together. So what did you do to capture that sound?
We played live together. That's exactly what we did.
That's live. I mean, that's us. We didn't overdub a rhythm guitar part, or that's
right. There's no overdub lead on it. The leads that you hear me doing, that's all live on the date.
Oh, nice.
That's that track, specifically that track. I mean, Leland, at the bass solo, maybe he doubled it or something, or did he not? He just put an effect on it. I think he just slammed the pedal on at that point.
Yeah, put effect on it.
We just played that song live,
We added percussion, and we added a sample that Waddy and I and Danny made of machines.
Yeah.
But
the industrial sounds at the end. That's an overdub. Yeah. That song, it's interesting. That song, when we wrote it, Danny was singing it by himself, the verses, and it was lower in key, and he was having a problem with it. He just wasn't comfortable about it. So I said, well, raise the note. He goes, what? I said, raise the note. Go up to the next interval. And then I thought, well, this would be a great two-part thing. Steve, let's do it like the Everlys would do it, So Steve's singing that tonic up on top, and it's killer, and it worked out amazing, But Danny was really starting to question it. I'm going, Danny, just change it. He goes, what? Change the melody note. Oh wow, I didn't think of that. Yeah, and that's what happens. You get blocked in on a song. Can't think of this song sucks now. What's wrong with it? I don't know. Why don't you change it? What? Change a note. Oh yeah, right. Change a note. I never would have thought of that. You lock in, man.
There was one song in the studio. Maybe you remember, Waddy. Everything was smooth. We were rolling. We had done the demo, and then one song, it was a Danny song. It was not working. The hell was it? Anyway, but it took in 15 minutes. Like, you just got too many minds that have done this so much. We figured out what wasn't working, and adjusted, and then it was fine.
Yeah, it's the old, well, try something else, because that seems like the farthest out of reach idea sometimes to you when you're locked in on a piece of music, and you can't see your way out of it until someone says, hey man, just try something else then. Oh,
right.
Wow, what a great idea. I never would have thought of that. You know, I'd still be there sitting going, what is wrong? You know, it's
But
really trap
you got to
yourself.
respect and trust the guys who are saying it. That's what's cool about them.
That's right. Yeah, you do.
So great because we've had even well, I won't get into that, but we've all had experiences many times when someone is saying something, you're just going, really, dude?
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah. And there's no. Waddy said a great thing to me once about there was a thing in Danny said, I said, do you think this one thing? He goes, you know, I know what you're talking about, but think of all the hit songs, Danny, all the great songs he's written. Like he probably knows. Like
Oh yeah. I remember
You know?
it was that word past.
you know,
It was,
and yeah,
he used a word twice in a sentence, and I said, well, you know, if Cooch is writing it, I think we both learn from that. You know, let's go with his lead because
and,
that's
and
the thing.
as a matter of fact, what's interesting when you mentioned how much you enjoy the repeated word and Can't Stop Progress, the first time I heard it, I went, huh, what do I think about that?
Yeah.
Then I went, oh, now I see exactly why he's doing it, and it's great, and it breaks rules that a lot of other people would follow.
It does.
But
It's very memorable to hear that repeated word, especially in the first verse, I think is the one, if I remember right. It's repeated every time. And you go, oh,
Yeah.
I think I know what he's trying to say now.
yeah, and I think that the technical stuff. I think it's great that Waddy and I. It's very helpful that we both know how to record and we both can engineer stuff. I
don't engineer.
right.
I don't touch boards.
It helps me that it helps. It's great. I have a lot of experience doing that, and it's helpful for the band. That's all great. The bottom line, though, is that sometimes, like Nico's a great example. He'll throw a 57 in front of an acoustic guitar and say, "What are you doing?" But
That's right. Yeah.
It's we got to get the vibe. You got to get the creative thing has to be right. And in the technical, I love technical stuff. I do, and it's been, it's helpful to have the tool, and I'm glad I came up that way.
It's funny. I wanted to mention a thing that I learned a while ago when I first was doing sessions. I had my acoustic guitar I still have it, a big fat old J200, darkest sounding thing in the world, real tubby, dead strings. You can barely hear the thing, and I love it though. When I sit there and play it, it sounds beautiful to me. So I bring it in the studio, and this engineer is going, keeps coming in the booth. He's going, doesn't sound right, doesn't sound good. And I'm going, huh? Doesn't sound good, doesn't sound good. He tries a different microphone, doesn't sound good, doesn't sound good, man. He says, you got another guitar? I went, no. So what's the matter, man? He goes, it doesn't sound good. I said, oh, really? Well, that's funny. Because it sounds good right here. Why don't you put a fucking microphone right here, man? And he did, and it sounded great.
Oh, that's great, right? You put it where you were.
Yes. I said, gee, it sounds good right here. Why don't you put the mic there?
That's interesting. I'm surprised that doesn't happen more. Because
it happened recently with Nico. Said, he said it to somebody. Oh, I was talking to him. I called Nico one day about. I said, what should I? And you brought up 57. I have a 57 and I have a Rode, like a 47 here. I said, what should I use? He goes, I don't know. Just put it up here. I said, oh, you know that trick too? He goes, what? I said, yeah, that's what I do. I put it here. He goes, yeah, that's the thing. You put it where it sounds good,
Do you also put one in front of the sound hole as well, or?
No.
Oh, wow.
No. I mean, you can do that, but I mean, in that day, those days, nobody's going to put two microphones on an acoustic guitar.
Hey. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other final words of wisdom for folks as far as the studio process goes with you guys? Anything you'd add to the conversation?
I'd just say make it sound the way you want it to, because it's going to sound that way forever. And work with somebody you can trust, and value their opinion and keep your own, because it's very important. It's important to agree on stuff, It's important when you close your eyes that it sounds the way you want it to.
Said the guy who played one of the most important single note guitar riffs in history on Edge of 17. So it was hearing that one again. I keep going, God, that's one of the finest single note guitar lines and the finest eight bars in history. So
Thank you, man.
gotta love that stuff. Well, gentlemen, again, it's a pleasure always to talk to you guys. We're thrilled to have you around. We're looking forward to the records that you guys keep producing like rock bands should. Warms our hearts really, really well.
Just to not to, but I can't stand worrying about equipment, and I'm not saying this because one of the reasons I only endorse shit that I use. I'm not one of those guys. It's so much more relaxing to me to have these cables that I can step on, sound good. Not one of your cables has broken since the day you gave them to me. And that's, I was in Japan before I met you guys, and the fucking, sure enough, fortunately happened before the gig started when my cables so I appreciate having good stuff, and it helps me to calm down, just listen to the music. So
very true. Very true, man. Those cables have been beautiful every time I've used them.
Well, glad to hear that. We're thrilled that you guys like them. We thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Mike.
We appreciate your lifetime with us, Steve. I mean, it's been 10, 12 years since we've been talking, so we really appreciate it. And you too, Waddy, man. We really love having you in the family.
Thanks so much, Mike.
And we'll be watching for those records to hit. Take care.
Say hi to your mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. See you guys later.